Good morning. Today is the 7th of January 2025 and I'm going to go through my trading plan and look at levels today. Before we start, I'm going to be looking at the ES chart, but way before then, let's just see what news could move the market today. We do have PMI coming in at 10. That's a 3 out of 3 on the news event, and job openings as well, so be a bit wary of this today. Anything in the pre-market? We had a little bit in the pre-market, and we had a Fed speaking today as well, but that's gone. So that's it really. So just keep an eye on 10 AM for potential movement in the market. Okay, so on my screen is ES. We're looking at the 1 hour time frame, and this is the S&P 500 E-mini futures. Levels for today. Just grab my pen. Okay, so really there's only a couple places I'm looking for. I'm looking for a rejection down here at 60.70, and I'm looking for a break and retest below pre-market high and also below yesterday's low. I want it to come down, pull back into this region for it to reject back down. And you could technically argue it's also a bounce point, so we can, if we don't break down and we hold this level, we can watch for a potential bounce around this area as well. It's a strong area. We've got a bit of a volume shelf to the left, bit of a volume shelf here. It's an area of confluence where we've got bottoms of pivots, tops of pivots. That's a little bit low down. Let's just mark this out a bit better. There's that volume shelf there. So this is the area we're kind of watching for the bounce. We've got tops of pivots here, and they're the highs of the last few days, and so potentially I want to see it come back down into this region for a bounce, and that's pretty much all I'm watching for. Obviously I'm going to watch for the break and retest of pre-market high long, and also the break and retest of pre-market low, but I'll probably look to combine that with the break and retest of this entire area short. And we are in a bit of an hourly uptrend. We've broken market structure now. This was the line we've been holding. We broke through, put in a double bottom as well, and we've broken out. We came back and we've retested these pivots, or we got close to retesting those pivots. So 6,000's key number. You see we came down into that area. I said yesterday to watch 6,000. We were watching it for potential rejection, but it went straight through that. Came back down to what was the ceiling is now the floor. So we keep an eye on 6,000 again for a bounce. And then if we do lose this area, then we still got this area I'd quite like from the last few days. There's not a great deal of volume there, a little bit in front, but we can watch this in 59.90, 59.30 area for a bounce. And that's pretty much all I'm watching for today. Looking for trend continuation, a rejection here. Obviously we get up into the 6,100 area, then we've got this rejection zone we can keep an eye on as well, and a big volume shelf and the point controls up there as well. Okay, that's it for ES. SPY, and while we're on ES, let's quickly flick over to the order flow, because it was doing something a little bit funky earlier. And we had a little bit of a divergence. You can see here, increase in price. We've had all session, while we've had a sideways cumulative delta, and then as price was increasing, we had a little bit of a sell-off. Oh, the cumulative delta decreased. Price started increasing again, but the cumulative delta went sideways. It seems to be back in line of it now, but price is putting in new highs, whereas cumulative delta is not. So that could be an absorption there of the sellers by the buyers. And we can see the buyers absorbed all the sellers came in, the buyers absorbed, and now the price has turned around, and you can see it now starting to make upward movements. That's really all I can see on order flow. There's no real decent levels. Looking a bit top heavy at the moment. Nothing really. So just keep an eye on that. We might be seeing a little bit of maybe trend continuation today. Okay, let's flick back to my main screen. Okay, so here, let's move back over to the SPY now. So SPY, similar levels to ES. We've got the rejection area up here. We've got this area we can also watch for rejection as well. So 600 key level. So keep an eye on that one. We rejected it yesterday, sold off. Watch it today for potential double top. If we can break through it, then obviously we can look for trend continuation up into this zone. Pre-market high is a play we can play. Break and retest long 597 into 600. So, and if we lose the pre-market low, we can look for it to break down, come back up, retest for the short. And then bounce wise, what's my favourite bounce area? It's got to be this area of confluence here. It's a big zone, so let's keep an eye on this area here. It's about 590 to 592 for a bounce, potentially up to the tops of these areas as well. So watch this entire area for a bounce. Volume, yesterday's low is a bit of a volume shelf, this area here. So we can watch that for a potential bounce. That could act as a little bit of below support. And then we've got a couple of volume shelves coming down. They line up, yeah, they line up a little bit with this area of confluence and that bounce area at 590. That's it for SPY. SPX levels. Look at that, right on the dot there as well. So, yes, when was that? That was Monday, yesterday, 10:30. Came into that level. We had that marked off already. Rejected. Yeah, the only place I can see is a bounce. This area of confluence here. Tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots down here. 590, 59.30 area. Rejection again up here. 60.21. So I won't take SPX, but if I see SPX coming into a level, then I'll be looking to go short on ES, only if it sets up on ES. I took a decent trade yesterday, break and retest of pre-market high, and it was a 15-minute opening range breakout. And I just waited for a continuation on that. It broke out, didn't quite get down into the pre-market high area, it's a bit high, and I just scalped the top. I can probably show that in a second. Good morning, Charles. Hopefully you are well, and looking forward to another decent trading day. Okay, moving on to NQ, and good morning to everybody else as well. NQ, broken market structure here, you can see it cleared there. Putting in this bit of a potential flag, which depends how you want to see it, like that. Let's get rid of that one. That one like that. Decent amount of volume yesterday. Again, I quite like the break and retest of pre-market high into yesterday's high. We can watch that area for rejection, 21,900, or we can continue watching for continuation, long bounce area. You know what, there's only one place I like as a bounce, this area, point of control, lots of confluence. We've got tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots, bottoms of pivots, tops, 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 and then we finally broke through, and we've yet to come back to retest that area. So if we get back down into that region, I quite like it for a bounce. And what's that, around 21,500 is a psychological number as well. I'll be looking probably a little bit higher than that up in this zone here for a bounce. So keep an eye on that. Obviously we've got this rejection, and we've got this zone here as well. Let's have a look back a bit. So that's an area of confluence there, and the point of control it was there. Don't know what it does, it loses it. Lost the chart. We've got that pivot there. So yeah, all of these areas are potential areas we can watch for potential rejection. That entire area there. So 22,000 psychological number. So that's probably one area to watch. But I do quite like this area here as well. 22,059. Yeah, just keep an eye on that anyway. So, but obviously we're putting in a little bit of an hourly uptrend, breaking this trend. So we've got these areas we can watch for rejection. QQQ. Again, watch yesterday's high as a potential rejection area. It's a bit of an area of confluence as well. If I draw that in, you can see here we've got tops of yesterday, bottoms of pivots, bit of consolidation here, tops of these pivots here as well. Not a massive amount of volume, but there's a little volume shelf there as well. So that is a potential area we can watch for rejection. This is another good area to watch. I do prefer this area. Oh, that's not the rectangle. This region here, all the way across to 530. Area we've had on watch for some time. Last time we was up there, we had this big reaction down. So maybe if we get back up there again, we can watch. Probably not as big reaction, but we can have a bit of a reaction back down. So let's keep an eye on 530 for the rejection. And obviously we've got pre-market high, pre-market low, and then the bounce area. It's got to be right on this volume shelf here. Just because it's not the point of control doesn't mean it's not a good place which could act as support. So what level that's 518. The reason I like that, we've got the bottom of that pivot, we've got tops of these pivots here, bottoms of these pivots, bottoms, tops, consolidation. So I do quite like it for a bounce round in this region. But we do have to get through this point of control. And we can also watch yesterday's low for potential bounce as well, a bit like we are on ES. Crude oil. Is this a head and shoulders pattern? So let's just draw the trend line in. That's not a very good trend line. Let's just start it here. Just a rough area. You can see that area there. Broken the trend. Came back up. Look at that. Retested the trend and retested this trend line, the daily one as well. So what do we see? If we're putting in a head and shoulders pattern, it's a bit of a lopsided one. So this could be the neckline there. We can look for the break and retest a pre-market low back into that area for the rejection down. We can look for the break and retest out of this trend line, out of this the blue line into yesterday's high. And one thing to notice as well, the reduced volume as well. Hang on, when was that date? Oh, it's today's volume. It's not even market volume, so we did have increased volume on that sell-off day. So we are getting more volume up here, as you can see. We've got these 3 days here. Extra, we can compare the previous volume. The average is about here. So we are getting potentially ending volume. So just bear that in mind, and if we are setting up this head and shoulders pattern and we're into this trend line and we're at 74 as well, well, we were at 74 earlier, so just keep an eye on that. I quite like the break and retest of pre-market low, yesterday's low, but obviously trend continuation, we could just having a bit of a rest day, we want to break through and continue the trend up. Gold. Yes, I agree, Charles. Definitely a profitable day to everyone. Hopefully you had a good day yesterday. Gold. Okay, so it's a bit stagnant. If we can break out over that pivot, which happens to be the pre-market high, I quite like the break and retest long, 2680. I do quite like the pullback onto this trend line again. We seem to be holding this trend line. I know it's not exactly on the trend line. I'm sure if we can find a better adjustment for it, but you know, let's just draw an imaginary one in just there. You can see now that's pretty more accurate. I might just update. These trend lines are done months and months ago. It's just a guideline for me. I treat it as a zone, so I may not. So this is my trend line zone here. So I'm kind of watching in this area if it gets down into that area. This zone, you can see we've been holding this area pretty well. If we come back down into this area again, we can watch for a bounce around the 2650 area, 2643, and area we've already got marked off. Zoom out a bit. Let's see. Yeah, no, the best move I like is probably the break and a retest over this pre-market high. We're getting over, we'll be over this point of control we've been sitting in for a long time, all along through here, again through here, couldn't break it, finally did break it and lost it again. So this could be our next move out. And then we've got a volume shelf then at the next level at 2689, 2690 to 2700. So we could see a little bit of resistance there. So keep an eye on pre-market high break and retest on gold. RTY. Oh, what I like here is a big sell-off. Are we seeing a bit of a bear flag? Volume, we had a big volume there, and then reducing volume here. A bit of increase in volume there, but that's about average. So slightly above average anyway. Point of control is down at this level as well. Okay, so gold, Russell 2000, which is RTY. Keep an eye on the break and retest a pre-market low into these levels. Point of control is just there, so we can see we've been a significant area recently. And if we break over, I'm not sure about pre-market high, but I quite like the break and retest of yesterday's high. So pre-market high break, it could be a higher risk trade, and then the break and retest of yesterday's high 2310 can be a higher probability trade. And we do have this level of over resistance, a little bit of a volume shelf as well as expected at 2340. So watch out for a potential hiccup or rejection. Volume shelf as well is about there as well, so maybe we can watch this area for rejection. I won't put any levels in there just yet, we'll keep an eye on that. And then YM, we're really holding this level here. So 42,500, massive psychological number. Area confidence as well, tops of candles, bottoms of candles, bottoms of pivots as well. If we lose pre-market low, yesterday low, I quite like the break and retest back down to retest it. What I'm seeing here is it's holding that level, and we're putting in, and we're just narrowing. So the big wide, getting narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower until something's going to break. We're either going to break down or we're going to break out. Volume is not giving too much away. Big volume on a sell-off as expected. It was a big moving day. Was that FOMC maybe? That's our rejection point there. So if we do get up to 43,750, we can watch that for potential rejection. Let's just draw that level in. I've not got that level. And that's purely based on bottom of this big move. We had a big move up, came down, retested it, held it, lost it. So let's see what happens when we get back up to that 43,700 area. And then we can watch down here for a bounce as well. You know, I like to see that history repeats itself. We've done it once, could say twice, twice there. Maybe we come back down into that area again. 42,500 psychological number. We can watch for a bounce. Maybe just scalp it if we're starting to narrow it down before we do finally break it down. And then finally Bitcoin, and we've got plenty of time before market opens. Bitcoin got past 100,000. We had that level drawn up as well. Keep an eye on that. So we've broken it, and we're either going to come back and retest that area. Let's make my pen a bit thicker. Let's try that. So that's better. Come back in to retest that area for a bounce, 100,000. We are in this uptrend as well, hourly uptrend. We'll see what happens. I think if we can hold above it, a more high probability would be the break and retest of this is high, pre-market high, or we can watch for the breakdown of pre-market low against the trend, so it's lower probability. I'm going to start watching Bitcoin futures, I think, because I'm going to see how that trades. I don't have it currently on my radar, but maybe, and I'm looking at the charts every day, so maybe it's something I could probably look at as a day trade as well with the others. What are we seeing on the daily? We're seeing decrease in volume, obviously little spikes here and there, whilst price is increasing. Notice that pattern there? That's like the cumulative delta divergence we look at on order flow. Same with price and volume. Potentially showing weakness, or we could just be resting for a bit. You know, we've held this 192 level for a long time, going back to the beginning of November where we broke through it, and we could be just resting, and then we had a first bit of volume there. What's that bar there? Which kind of coincides with the previous volume bar sizes as well, so nothing unusual. Had we had a small bar with a big volume spike, then that would stand out a bit more. Yeah, at the moment I can't see it looking weak, but we could be looking at a potential head and shoulders. You could say that's the head, or maybe this is a shoulder coming up here with the neckline. So something to keep an eye on. For me, I'm waiting for a big pullback down to this region. I've taken profit, and I'm looking to reinvest that back in again when we get back down to the 70,000 area. And that's what I'm really looking for. If you look on the weekly, it's just a breakout. We've yet to retest. If we do, well, I do have a bank account I use where every time I make a purchase, it rounds up the value and puts it into my Bitcoin account with the bank as well, which I find is really good because it keeps, even though I've taken out profits here and here and here, and I've added on these areas. You can see where I've actually been adding little tiny small amounts here as well, so it's still involved in this move up even when I'm not actively trading it. Maybe one day I can go into that, but it's the company I use is Revolut, and leave me a comment if you're interested, because I can share you it's an affiliate code where I think we both get a little bit of a kickback. I'm not sure what it is, like $30 for free or something if you open up an account. But I use that purely for my Bitcoin. And I use Coinbase for everything else. So that's the pattern I'm watching for at the moment. Maybe we can look for a break and retest short. Hence why I was thinking about looking at Bitcoin futures. Maybe that could be a play. I might look into that today. And that's it really. Let's quickly look at the order flow. We've got a bit of time. Any comments? Oh, Charles, yeah. Jewelry duty. Was that just one day? Or is that like a longer ongoing thing? I don't think so, because you're probably here now. I'm luckily enough, fingers crossed as well, that I've never needed to do any jewelry service. But now I've said that out loud, you know what's going to happen. I'll get the letter soon. Just a quick one. I've noticed we've got a little bit of cumulative divergence, cumulative delta divergence. We've got increase in price, and if you take the pivots, that you've got decrease in. I know we had this big pullback here as well, but decrease in cumulative delta as well. So potentially, in fact, I wrote about this as well. I think I've got it on my website. Here we go. I did write an article about cumulative delta and how to decipher it. So this is basically this one here. So we could be looking at increase in price, decrease in delta, and there's a few scenarios what could be causing it. Absorption, passive sellers just getting out, big iceberg orders, short squeeze, and how to interpret it. So maybe have a look at that. I'll put the link in the comments in a second in the description, but it's pbtrader.co.uk cumulative delta divergence. You'll see it's on the main page as an article. But this is kind of how I used cumulative delta and divergence. Use it as one of my confirmations if I'm getting into a trade. So that, I look at volume, I look at order flow, I look at imbalances, buying and selling imbalances, see if they're in my favour, and I look at actual volume on the 2-minute chart as well. On the candlestick chart, I meant 5-minute, 15-minute, sometimes a 2-minute. So I use all them, and I'll make a decision based on all these different snippets of information I may have. Okay, market opens in 1 minute. Trade safe. Don't trade if you don't need to. And have a good day.